It's time to say hello now to our first guest. She's seen some stranger things and unravelled many mysteries as Detective Enola Holmes. But her next adventure brings her closer to home with a story inspired by her nan. Please welcome Millie Bobby Brown. Hello. Good to see you, Millie.
Very good to see you.
And exciting because now then you've branched out of acting to become an author. It's called 19 Steps.
Yes.
It's a wartime story. What more can you tell us?
Well, gosh, without spoiling it, it follows a heroic woman living through World War II, and she's met with a love triangle and loss and friendship, and it's centred, the focal point is the Bethnal Green tube disaster, which happened in 1943. 163 lives were lost, and it was a huge part of my growing up. My grandmother told me this story a lot growing up, and she lost her best friend and her friend's family. So it was a really big part of my life. I visited the memorial quite frequently, so it's it was really exciting to be able to shed a light on such a quiet story for so long.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your grandma there, Millie. So how else did she kind of like inspire the story? Was there kind of like details that she kind of gave you, or?
I mean, right before she died, I put an audio recording on and just had her really tell me these stories again and again, which she really enjoyed. In her Cockney accent, she was like, "All right, I'll tell you another one." So we were really able to, you know, get all of the anecdotes and the wonderful things that she'd say that you'd think, how did she go through all of this? But we really wanted to transpire that strength that she had into the book. But lots of things inspired the book.
Oh, and you sadly lost your grandmother quite recently. When you think back and going over and walking in the park in Bethnal Green and all of that, what's your fondest memory of her?
Well, I was quite a naughty child, and I definitely, you know, if she said don't touch something, I was always touching it. And I think that probably goes to say a lot for my career as well. No boundaries for me. I'm very much headstrong. And so I always, you know, if she say don't run around the estate, you know, stay where I can see you, I would always kind of go and hide. And so she would make me write these apology letters to her. And so I would always say, "Dear Nanny, I'm so sorry I disappointed you." And she would write me one back, you know, my darling, lovely Millie, there's nothing you could ever do that would upset me. So I hung them all in my house, and maybe that's where I got my inspiration to write, but those are probably some of my fondest memories.
That's amazing.
I'm going to try the letter thing.
Yeah? Gonna be a lot of letters. You spent a lot of time, Millie, kind of researching your family history, didn't you? Did you come across anything like unexpected or that shocked you?
I don't know if anything shocked me necessarily, because again, I grew up knowing these stories, so it kind of felt like almost I knew them like the back of my hand. I would retell them to everyone. I think, you know, hearing that my grandmother was evacuated from London when, you know, she was very, very young, and she went and spent a year away in Cornwall. That's, you know, that was really shocking to me, and hearing the details of that, and we really wanted to bring that into the book. So that whole storyline is in the book. But, you know, just that feeling, I have an 11-year-old sister, that feeling of, you know, my nan being younger than her and having to go and spend time away with a whole different family and not knowing if her family in London were safe. It just, you know, that conjured strength from a 5-year-old is
Incredible.
amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you found out lots of detail, one of them being that your family were sort of a family of hustlers, which has made its way into the book as well in the form of a storyline, hasn't it?
Yes, so there's a story in the book where there's a dog, the family dog, runs the dog race and wins, and so the next day they think, OK, we can't re-enter him, so we'll paint him.
Great.
And so they painted him, and unfortunately it started raining. And, and they got caught. But that's actually on my paternal side of the family, but the story was too good to not put into the book.
Love it.
So my nan would be like, that's not my part of the family, but it was my dad's side. It's such a good story that we was like, we have to bring it in there somehow. So it's, yeah, definitely embarrassing, but honestly, I'd do it. If it was like, you know, animal-friendly paint,
of course,
then I would do it.
Good save, Millie, good save.
Good save.
Now, you've got 63 million, ridiculous, it's amazing, followers. So we've had loads of questions, inundated. Right, we're going to do some now. Emma wants to know, what do you hope your greatest achievement will be, and what's been your greatest achievement to date?
To start with the latter one, because I feel like the first one is such a huge question, because, again, I don't really know what I hope to become. I'm only 19. So I'm like, you know, I'm still, you know, learning the ropes of everything. But what I feel like I have, you know, achieved is being a UNICEF ambassador has meant a lot to me. You know, I'm in school learning about human services. So, you know, it's a big part of my life, and I hope to, you know, help others. I think just individuals, communities, minority groups, just to be you know, that change somewhere in someone else's life, and even if that's one person. So that would be probably one of my biggest achievements.
Yeah, it's incredible you want to take on, you know, that level of responsibility, Millie. We've also had another question in from a viewer called Alex. They want to know what you do on your days off, essentially.
Gosh, I'm with my animals. I'm just constantly with my animals. I have lots. I have a donkey and
You've got a donkey?
And yeah, yes, and lots of dogs and cats. So I spend lots of time, you know, vaccinating them, finding foster and rescue dogs new homes.
Amazing.
And so I spend most of my free time doing that on the farm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like a nice day off, that, doesn't it?
Millie, I'm sure your grandmother will be so proud. 19 Steps, based on her story, of course, is out tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now it's time to say hello to our next guests who have recently competed against each other, as well as some other famous faces in celebrity race across the world. Harry Judd and Mel Blatt. Hello, both.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, both of you. Now, the series was due to start on Wednesday, wasn't it, Harry? But it's been postponed. So what can you tell us about that?
Well, obviously, we've all seen the devastating news in Morocco, and we were lucky enough to film the first episode in Morocco, in Marrakesh, in fact. And, yeah, it's a beautiful country, beautiful city. We had an amazing time, so beautifully welcomed by the people, and honestly, a very memorable experience. But, yeah, since we've seen the news this week, the BBC have decided to postpone the first episode, out of respect.
Yeah. The right thing to do.
The news over the weekend's been devastating, isn't it? Awful.
Yeah.
So, Mel, the race across the world, which is what you're on to talk about. I mean, so it's a race to the Arctic, essentially. What else can you explain? I'm sure there's a lot more going on this journey.
There's a lot more that happens, yes. How much am I allowed to tell you, though? I'm really not sure.
Everything.
Give us it all.
But, yes, there's drama, for sure. There's competition, and so quite a lot of laughs along the way, definitely.
There's our mums as well. That's very important to point out.
Yes.
Well, so your mum, Emma...
Yes.
You took on the journey with you. Yeah. I mean, why sounds a bit rude, doesn't it, I think? But, yeah, I'm going to ask it. So why did you want to share that experience, this experience with your mum?
Well, several reasons, I think. I left home when I was 17 to join the band. I was the youngest of three, so I think my mum was quite heartbroken by that. And also know my mum's always wanted to travel, but she's a nurse, she's had a family and never had the opportunity. So I thought she'd be the perfect companion. Yeah. And she's just a very positive, upbeat person. And, yeah, she proved that to me. We had an amazing time.
She's amazing.
Yeah, honestly, without my mum, I would have struggled.
Incredible woman.
Well, I've spent too much time with my mum.
Right.
Well, and this extra month with her was too much.
Now, we read
That's
in
the
between the
mother-daughter
lines.
relationship there, isn't it?
But was it a no-brainer, taking your mum?
No, I didn't want her. I did not.
I love the honesty.
Well,
So
I mean,
what
she
happened?
knows. I told her. No, listen, my mum's amazing, and actually the most qualified person to do it with anyway. She's been in the army, she speaks loads of languages, she's travelled loads on a budget with my dad. It's what they love doing, and they even love the show.
Didn't they apply to go on it?
They applied to go on it, just them two, without even telling me.
Yeah.
Oh. It's a dream come true for Mel, but not for Mel.
No, I wanted to go originally with Shaz, my bandmate, and then she couldn't do it. And then it was like, I had about 100 other people that I wanted to do it with. And they wouldn't let me do it with any of them. And they were like, what about your mum? I was like, all right, then.
Sounds like your mum played a part in that list, like making sure it got to her.
But do you know what, though? I know that I will always look back on that time, and it's true. It's like, we've never really spent time just me and her. So... even though it was annoying. It was nice as well. It was nice.
We had, obviously, incredible experiences, went to amazing places, but one of my favourite things about it generally was, like, for example, there was, like, this 9-hour train journey I had with my mum, and we just sat opposite each other and just talked and really, like, delved into, like, my mum's past, for example, and just things you don't have the time to talk about. So, yeah, it was very special.
Yeah, it does sound special.
Yeah.
Now, Harry, I mean, you've toured all over the world with McFly. Had to do a lot of hotels and different rooms you've had to stay in. Yeah. Now, having to share a room with your mum, I mean, that must have been a bit more difficult.
Well, I love you, Mum. But yeah, my mum, she snores quite loudly. And on the second night of the trip, she lost her snoring aid thing. And she was like,
no.
oh, well, it doesn't matter, you know, it could be worse. I was like, Mum, it literally could not be worse. The only thing that'd be worse maybe was if you lost your passport. But so, yeah, I shared a room with Mum for 4 weeks, and it was cosy. She spends her nighttime routine takes forever as well, which was quite. I know. I told her, Mum, when you stop shuffling around, she'd be like all her different creams and things. But yeah, that was probably the hardest bit. But...
I feel sorry for Emma with the snoring. You've thrown her right under the bus.
No, I know. I had earplugs and they didn't even cover it.
No. And we all know that, of course, travelling with family can be stressful. But Mel, this bit with you and your mum, I think, sums it up. It's a little disagreement over transport. Here it is.
Okay.
Fed up teenager there, Mel.
You go straight back into that mode, like... Yeah. I mean, I try and have a word with myself every morning, like, not today, Melanie. I couldn't help it. It's just who I become.
I mean, I've got a question that says, what was the most difficult part for you? But I've got a feeling I might know the answer. I'm hoping it's something else, though.
No, my phone, not having my
thank
phone.
God.
That's just even worse with them being with my mum.
Because even, you know, it is a television show, but it's proper hard, isn't it, Harry?
It is. It's hard to explain why it's hard, because obviously it's such an amazing opportunity, but it is hard. Like, you don't have a phone to help you get anywhere. Obviously, there's language barriers. You've just got cash.
And not a lot of it.
Not a lot. I mean, we slept on the floor of a ferry. We're doing night buses. You're on a tight budget for food. You're away from family and you can't talk to them. That was the bit I found quite intense at the beginning. Yeah, really intense. But
if the cash runs out, does it just stop?
If your cash runs out, you're out.
You're out. Yeah. You're out the race.
You're out. So you do jobs along the way.
I mean,
That's what you should have done. You should have spent all the money and gone home.
I mean, I tried to spend as much as I could.
Literally, I don't want to give away too much, but episode 1, Mel's like, let's get a taxi. Let's just get another taxi.
I find it hard to adjust.
Yeah.
But you have to do jobs along the way. So, for example, I did a bit of beekeeping. And what was your first job?
In a bar.
In a bar? You worked in a bar, yeah?
Yeah, worked in a bar.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think you should do the next series.
Absolutely,
You'd be so bad on it.
Yeah, I would
we look forward to catching up with Celebrity Race across the world very soon.
Gotta say thanks to all of our guests. Tomorrow I'll be back with Julia Bradbury, Big Zoo and Josie Fiennes.
We'll also have more from JJ at the Invictus Games, and you can watch the UK versus the USA in the wheelchair rugby live right now on iPlayer and on the red button. See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Bye.